Hey y'all, welcome. Welcome to the first video of the Defining Racism series. I feel like we need a snappy title, so if you can come up with a better title, that would be awesome. And Sherika, I know you had an amazing title, but we're not there yet. We will get there though, hopefully. So y'all, grab a drink, take a seat, put your feet up. We're going to be talking about two terms: prejudice and discrimination. So that's what this video is for. We're going to be talking about prejudice and discrimination. Before we get into that though, I do want to let y'all know sort of where I'm coming from. So if you do want to know more about why I'm creating this series, what inspired me, go to that intro video. I'll post it right here. But basically what you should probably know is that I am a language, English, composition, writing, literature instructor. I've been doing that for 20 years. So if y'all can't tell from that, like, I do believe in the importance of language and words, and especially during this really divisive time, I feel it's important for us to have a common language, a common understanding of the terms that are being sort of used, terms like prejudice, terms like racism, terms like white supremacy, so that we understand the concepts and the ideas and the frameworks behind them, so that we can build our own ideas and opinions and beliefs and then know how to share them and have a discussion. Because I don't know about y'all, but practicing how to have discussions about race is not something that the society does very often. Okay? So I really want this to be a space where you feel not only where you can learn these terms, but you can also practice these terms. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. Know that the terminology and the definitions that I'm getting is from, I am an academic, so it is really from people who spend their lives doing this. Yes, I'm going to get them from, or I have gotten them from the social sciences, right? That includes critical race theory, that includes sociology, that includes psychology. We're going to use the experts. We're going to use experts in this field and the way that they use words, because you know what? The definition that they use is also the definitions that are being used by people who are leading the movements right now. People who are in the work, doing the work, and who have been doing it for decades, leading movements like the Black Lives Matter movement or the Me Too movement. These are also the definitions that they are using. Okay, so let's at least get on board so that we understand the heck is going on. So when we are dealing with words, you know what? We're just gonna get started. That was we're getting started. So when we talk about words, there is a denotation to the word and there's a connotation to the word. So denotation means that there is a literal definition, yes, what the word denotes. And then there's the connotation. The connotation is how we as individuals interpret the word. Yes, meaning you who's watching this right now. If you think that you're going to get away with this being passive, a passive listener and watcher, no. We're going to question. We're going to question. So we interpret words, meaning you and me. We interpret words and we interpret them all differently. A lot of times, right, they are going to have different emotional triggers. So, for example, if I were to say, you go grab a bag, pack a bag, we're going to the beach. Can you tell that that's where I want to go? Quarantine. All right, so I want to go to the beach. I'm going to the beach, right? So if I did the denotation, the literal definition of the term beach, it's something like sand and water, okay? Sand and water. That's not why I'm smiling though. When you tell me the beach, or I see the word beach, my connotation, my interpretation of that term is vacation. See, my voice even changes. Relaxation, but on the sand, in the sun, with a book and a margarita and a daiquiri, maybe both, maybe doubles, right? Because it's happy hour. Like, that's what I envision, right? The kids are playing on the sand. They're not fighting. It's awesome. It's my ideal right now. That's what I envision. Now, you don't have to have the same interpretation as me. You can be like, the beach, oh my gosh, shark-infested waters, blood, jaws, sand in places that sand does not belong, right? That could be your interpretation of beach too. and anywhere in between, I guess. That's the connotation. Okay. Now words have denotations and connotations. Here's the thing though, connotations, the way that we interpret words and the emotional triggers can actually have it so we don't understand each other. And it doesn't always have to be about race. We're going to get to how it deals with race. But before we get there, let me give you an example. So let's use an example with my husband and me. We're just going to go right into it. Hello, welcome to my world. Welcome to my relationship with my partner. So we have been together for, he's the one who's good with anniversary stuff. I think we're at like year 16, y'all. 16, sweet 16. I don't know. What's the celebration for 16 years together? In any case, one of our ongoing arguments is related to, oh my gosh, do I want to share this? I'm going to share this. Okay, so one of the ongoing arguments is me not feeling wanted or desired, and then that turns into not feeling loved. Yeah. And one of my reasonings behind this is that he doesn't like say compliments with his words. Yes. Like that's one of my like nagging things, the things that like, I'm like, you just don't compliment me. And because you don't compliment me, that must mean that I'm not wanted, I'm not desired, you don't love me, down the rabbit hole, right? And depending on whatever's going on in the world and our lives and all of that, could be a deep rabbit hole, or it could be one that I can pick myself up from. So just know that that's a pattern that's been going that like over a decade. Okay. And so in one of those sort of arguments, I was doing that same thing. I'm like, you don't even compliment me. Why don't, and he was like, honey, I compliment you all the time. And I was so sure, y'all, that he did not compliment me that I was like, just give me one time. I'll take one. Give me one compliment you've ever given me. Yeah, y'all, you should just know in relationships and in friendships, if you ever give an absolute, be careful. And he goes, honey, I complimented you this morning. I was like, this morning? What did you say? He's like, honey, you came down the stairs and I said you look nice. Okay, y'all, let's break this down. The word is nice. Okay? Now, when I hear the word nice, again, this is the connotation, y'all, my interpretation of you look nice. I think you look, oh, you're fine. You're all right. You like put some clothes on and you look decent. Like your buttons are fine, right? You brushed your hair. Like you're nice. It's fine. That's my interpretation of nice. So I was able to actually be like, okay, honey, what do you mean when you say nice? And he was like, honey, you look nice. Like you came down the stairs and you were beautiful and you looked pretty and you looked really sexy. You look nice. I was like, what? Okay. I can deal with that. All right, y'all. So the word is nice. Something that should be something that's like a good feeling word. Y'all, 10 years of strife and arguments because were not able to come together. Now, I know I'm being a little dramatic about it, but not really. So once I was able to understand that, and once we were able to understand that we actually did, like that word was troublesome, if ever he says nice, I can actually turn it around and be like, oh, he means beautiful. He means sexy. He means gorgeous. Like he means pretty. Like those are the words that he's thinking, which actually like are hard for me to take, but that's a whole other video. And he can also practice. So when he says nice, that's what I think. But he also can practice not saying nice because he knows it lands hard for me or it lands differently, right? So it's something that both of us can then choose to make a difference on or not. But here's the thing, at least now we're aware because we could have gone the rest of our lives not actually picking apart the problematics of the word nice in our relationship. Okay? And that's like, how long have we known each other, did I say? Like 16 years or 10 years of, okay, just that long. Now, can you imagine the in the emotional impact of words like racist that we've been dealing with for like 500 years here in this country, of course there's going to be a pull. So in this series, what I know I'm spending time on this, but I really want y'all to get is I want us to start to break apart the denotation, the definition of the term versus the connotation, all of our feelings and emotions and interpretations. Because what I would actually guess to say is I'm going to talk about the word prejudice. If somebody ever or has called you prejudiced, were you like, okay, great, I'm prejudiced, let's go on? No! You probably took it as a personal attack, did you not? When we call somebody prejudiced, actually, in the world, the idea is like, gloves off, time to fight. We don't even necessarily know what the word prejudice is. I say this because in my classes, a lot of times I'll ask, do y'all know what the definition of prejudice is? And you know what's amazing? Out of a class of 25, I'll get 25 different definitions of prejudice. And yet, you know what is in common? Gloves off, ready to fight. That's the commonality, right? Because what we look at it's an attack on our character. Okay, so they have definitions that don't include your character. We're going to start pulling them apart. Okay, and another thing that I want you all to get is when we talk about these terms, a lot of times we talk about the collective, the group, the systems, the institutions, the policies. These are bigger than any one individual. Okay, so this is collective. All right, ready to begin? I am. Let's go. I feel like I need to take a breath. Okay. Prejudice. So we are going to begin with prejudice. So the definition of prejudice is a prejudgment that we make in our brains about a person based on the social groups that we believe they belong to. Now this can include, and I have thoughts and feelings. This can include stereotypes, attitudes, and generalizations. So anything in the thought realm, in your brain, any judgments that you make about a person based on the social groups that you believe that person is a part of, and usually it's with little or no information. You just make these judgments. And yes, we all do this. That is a prejudice. That's prejudice. And as human beings, we do this all the time. You're actually doing it right now. I know. It's that voice. Do you guys have that voice? It's this voice. Do you have that? You have that voice. If you haven't paid attention to that voice, now I am letting you know. You have a voice right here. I do it this right here. And your voice is telling you, oh my gosh, why is she moving her hand on top of her head like this? Why is her voice so high? Ooh, what does it mean to have somebody with glasses? What the heck does her shirt say? Ooh, let me answer that because I love it. Did you all see it says, take a look, it's in a book. Hurry. Okay, whatever, I got really excited about this shirt. So y'all have judgments in your brains that you are making related to this video, related to me, related to the lighting. And it's not just me. It's anytime we go out in the world. It's anytime that we watch Netflix. We categorize people based on the social groups that we think that they're in. So if we watch a show and somebody has a lot of piercings, how do you interpret that? What judgments do you make about a person based on the piercings or tattoos or hair color or skin color or body shape, or body weight, or maybe the jobs that they have or the hobbies that they have? If I were to say a surfer, you're going to have, can you see that I'm in like the ocean mode? You're going to have an idea based on where they live. So any way that we categorize people, we all automatically are going to have a judgment about them. Y'all, that's what prejudice means. And we all do this. So prejudice is any judgment, any prejudgment that we make about a person based on limited or no experience, right? Think about stereotypes that we make. So we have a limited amount of information, but we make it related to them based on the social groups that we perceive them to be in. Okay? That is prejudice. What I think is really important for us to know in this discussion is that prejudice does not have to be race specific. It's about any social categories, and we all do this as human beings. But I don't think we all realize that we do this, yes? So I would think that there's some prejudices that we're fine with because they don't affect our lives in a negative way. And I would think that there's some prejudices that we would want to work on because we start to see that it's impeding maybe our relationships or the way that we are at work or the way that we are with our friends. Okay, so prejudices, remember, are strictly in the thought realm. Now, if you act on that prejudice, that is now discrimination. So discrimination is any time that you act on a prejudice. When you act on a prejudgment that you've made about a person in your brain and you act on it, that is discrimination. So there are a variety of examples of acting. So acting can be ignoring, excluding, threats, ridicule, slander, violence. It can be action. It could be non-action. It can be silence. What? I know. We'll be talking about more of that throughout the series. And y'all, I am continuing to look at my computer. The definitions that I'm using here for prejudice and for discrimination, I took primarily from D'Angelo's White Fragility, if I haven't said that already, and also Dr. Beverly Tatum's Why Are All the Black Kids Staying Together in the Cafeteria? Okay, and I'll be posting all of the sources that I know of and use related to this topic in the comment or in the notes below. And of course, if you have any other suggestions, please let me know. This is a group effort, y'all. I do not, I should say this. I do not pretend to have all the answers. I am in the process with y'all. I actually think the more that I do this, the more that I find out about myself, the more I realize it's a lifelong process. So I'm in it with y'all. Okay, we're in this process together. My mantra, and I have it, I like write it out to remind myself, is it really is Maya Angelou's when you know better, do better. Okay, and I'm not going to know everything right now. And all of this language, it's always changing. So in 2 years, this may be a very different conversation, but this is where we're at right now, okay? So prejudice, let's review. Prejudice are thoughts in our brain that we have. They are prejudgments that we make about a person based on the social groups and the social categories that we perceive them to be in. And discrimination is when we act on them. And that we do this all the time. Humans do this all the time too. And it does not always have to be about race. This can be about anything. So I'm going to speak to you, y'all who are women here. If you are walking, let's just say you got home from the club, you're walking home from the clubs, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you see a group of guys on the street in front of you. Do you walk towards them? Now I get it. During any time during the day, it's not 2 o'clock in the morning. You know these, like you can love men, that's fine. But in that moment, in that circumstance, you're making certain prejudgments that will probably have you do something like go back into the club. Get some keys out, right? And put them in your fingers. Or you walk on the other side of the street. Or you grab a buddy, or 2 buddies, or 3 buddies, right? That's not to say that anything would happen, but you have now acted on a prejudgment that you've made, okay? Can you see that we do this all the time? I'm not going to talk about right and wrong, and I hope y'all will get this when we talk about definitions. And the definitions, discrimination, acting on a prejudice, there's no right and wrong. I'm not going to tell you you should walk up to that group of guys, or you should make an action where you walk to the other side of the street, or you put keys in your hand, or you grab a buddy. Those are choices for you to make. Again, like an awareness that you are using your prejudices to then create an action, right? Discriminate. Some of you, for me, what's important is knowing that it's a choice, right? Being aware enough to question, is this an act that I want to continue to do? Or is this an act that is harming people? Is this an act that is hurting somebody's feelings? Is this an act that's actually causing a rift in our friendship? Is this a discriminatory practice that's causing my marriage to fail? Y'all didn't think that we were going to talk about other things other than race, huh? So what I really want y'all to see is that when we talk about prejudices and discrimination, it's all pervasive. Yes, right now there's a lot related to race because we make prejudgments based on race. Yes? And you can think about that. If I say, what are the stereotypes of a black man? You're thinking of some right now. If I were to say, what careers could a black man have and be successful here in the United States? What would you say? Maybe thinking. Are you thinking? Are you thinking? Rapper, sports, right? Stereotypes. What career can Asians have? And then do you act on those? All right, so how are you in the world once you recognize what stereotypes you're making of people? And are they based in reality? Are they true? Yeah, and if they're not true, then do you want to continue to act and to live by those? So those are really the questions that I want you all to ask. So again, prejudice and discrimination. They are, I think, the basis of some of the other terms that we're going to be discussing. And what I keep seeing, and this is why I wanted to make sure prejudice was first, is I keep seeing prejudice and racism interchanged. And they mean very different things. Okay? So prejudice does not always have to be about race. Prejudice is something that we all do as human beings. And their thoughts, they stay in the thought realm. If you act on those prejudices, that is now discrimination. And again, discrimination does not have to be solely about race. We discriminate and we make actions on our thoughts all the time, right? But I think, again, it really is important for us to start to question and just be aware of it so that when it does come up, we can question, is this an action I want to continue? Is it in my benefit to continue it? Is it one that I want to continue? Or is it one that could be harming people and hurting their feelings? Or honestly, let's get serious, or is it potentially killing people? Okay, we're going to leave on that note. Phew. Okay, so that was a lot that we covered in video 1. If you want to watch more videos, please join me for those. If you're watching this through YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel, and if you click that like button, you'll get notified whenever there is a new video. And if you're watching this through Instagram, you can always follow me at CL Amundsen. It's over here. And I will sometimes, well, especially throughout the year, I post a lot of other things too. So not just these videos. So feel free to follow me there. And you'll be updated whenever there is a new video. Because I do want y'all to start to bring these ideas to your own lives, I do have some homework. You don't have to do it. But if you want to, I have it. Number 1, I want y'all to think of prejudgments, or be aware of the prejudgments that you make today. Yes, you will probably make prejudgments today based on a conversation that you have with someone, based on TV shows, based on, I don't know, a magazine that you're reading. You're going to make prejudgments about people. You're going to categorize them, right? And create prejudgments related to them. That's a prejudice. So maybe create a list of those and just be aware of it today. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, in the realm of discrimination, in the realm of acting on those prejudices, think about times in the past that you've discriminated. Again, this is something that we all do. We all act, right? Like, y'all, it might just be that you're uncomfortable with this conversation. When I say the word race, or if I say the word racism and you feel uncomfortable, right? And there's like this, like the action is like, ooh, discomfort and hard to talk about this, right? Not talking about something. That's also a form of action that you're taking based on prejudices, right? Like, oh, I'm going to get it wrong. Your thoughts. Oh, I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to look stupid. I'm not going to be able to have this conversation with somebody who's so used to having this conversation. Yes? And your action is then not have the conversation. So I am imploring y'all to start practicing the conversation. And if you want to have somebody to hold you accountable or just to share it with, I'm here. So feel free to message me. You could write it in the comments. Again, look at the prejudgments and the judgments that you're making about people today, and then times in the past when you have discriminated, and see what comes up. That's what I got for y'all. Thanks for joining me. Bye.